Hey all, this is a tutorial on how to send video to a display using Node-RED with this Telishow Network Media Player. I've been wanting to find a new media player solution for our next escape room build that lets me send media files directly from Node-RED without using a separate microcontroller. Usually I use a microcontroller and a sprite. I've been looking around and someone reached out to me. I think his name is Daniel from Phobia Escape Room in Melbourne. So his team found this media player on AliExpress and they turned me on to it. So I ordered one just to try it out. And he also shared his Node-RED flow that they used to get it working. There's not many resources out there for this device, so I figured I'd put together a quick tutorial and links to the product and the Node-RED flow with Daniel's permission. Once you receive this device, you'll need to plug in a mouse and then a USB drive with the videos or the images that you'd like to use on it. You plug in the device and then you wait for it to go through its boot process, which takes a minute. While it's booting up, I should mention that I think this is just like a reskinned Android media player of some sort. They do mention in the instructions that you should not factory reset it because it'll kind of break the device and you'll have to send it back to them. So just keep in mind, I think it's based off of this Android media player and it has the Android operating system on it. So once it goes through the boot process, it will automatically launch these looping files that it comes with. And it'll also detect your USB drive. You can click in yes to launch the file explorer. It kind of glitches out sometimes. So what you can also do is just right click using the mouse at any point to exit the presentation mode and to go to the dashboard. You need to right click a couple times to go back to the main Android dashboard. So here's the Android UI. And once you're in this OS, go to settings and make sure you're connected to either Wi-Fi or Ethernet. I'd recommend setting a static IP address. You can plug in a keyboard and type in the IP address, or you can use a mouse to just click the on-screen keyboard. Then you'll need to move your media files onto the device. So you're going to go to the File Explorer, and there's 16 gigs of internal storage that it'll launch and play these files from. So what you want to do is navigate to your USB drive, and then you can click and hold on the file to bring up a menu for that file, or you can click on the checkboxes on the right-hand side. From there, you'll want to click on Move for the files, and then browse to the main storage. Inside the main storage, there's a folder that says Add Play, and then Key Play Directory. There's a bunch of directories listed here. The 00 directory is the one that will automatically boot into and loop. So you can drag one file into the loop directory, or you can drag a series of files. It can be videos or photos, whatever you want it to loop through, basically. And it'll loop through those files in order. The other directories can all be used to trigger files to either play once or to loop. So you can feel free then to drop your files in another directory and then make a note of which files and numbers they are. You're going to need to rename the files to a 2-digit number. So 01, 02, 11, whatever it is, that's the directory. It's got to be 2-digit dot the file type for it to play. If you need to rename them, you can click and hold on the file to bring up the menu like before, and then select Rename to bring up the Android keyboard and rename it using your mouse, or use a keyboard that you plug in to the second USB port. Once all the files are in place, we can move over to Node-RED to trigger them. And I'll just show you how Phobia Escape Room set this up and then how I'm using it also. Thanks again to Phobia Escape Room in Melbourne for creating the Node-RED flow, which they shared with us. Very kind of them, which I'll go ahead and link in the notes to this video. It helped me figure out how to trigger the files using UDP. So you can use the flow that they provided. Just make sure to update the IP address of the player in the UDP node and in the function nodes to match the IP of your player. Once you do that, you can use their dashboard, which they created here, to enter the directory number and enter the file number and then play the file or loop the file. So if you play the sequence button, then it'll play the file one time. If you play the circular, it'll loop the file. Alternately, what I'm kind of doing is just creating a string command and sending the string to the UDP node, but it has to be in the following format. It's going to be the IP address, then either A or B, then the folder number, the file number, and the word end. And it's all one word. So IP address, A, folder number, file number, end. So if you use A, it's going to send the command to play the file one time, and then it'll return back to the 00 folder to loop. If you send B, it'll loop that file indefinitely once you send the command. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. And yeah, so far so good. I haven't extensively tested this player. It does have 10 other actual inputs. So you can hook up different sensors or different triggers to those actual inputs to trigger files. It also has a serial input, RS-232 input. I'm not sure how those work yet. I haven't tried them, but I'm sure they work great. Yeah, this is, I think, is going to work out as a really good solution for me. All I'll need to do is set static IPs on these, drop files on them, and then hook them up to a TV and an Ethernet cable, and I'll be able to send whatever I want through Node-RED during the course of the game to each of those displays, or have them trigger files, when something gets solved. So I hope this helps you, and yeah, let me know in the comments, I guess, if it does, or if you have any questions. I'm not sure I'll have the answers, but yeah, thanks for tuning in.